Hello and welcome back. So, we are going to deal with the poem today, which is named The Ball Poem. Well, very unusual, the title seems, uh, and even the theme of the poem is quite unusual. You wouldn't expect a person to write down poetry on a lost ball. So here we are dealing with the Ball Poem by John Berryman. Now, before I dive right into the poem, I would like to ask you a question. This is a very common phenomenon with each and every one of us. Almost every child, everybody, each one of you as a child, uh, may have lost a ball. It could have been a cricket ball, it could have been a football, a basketball, or just a small spongy ball which you were very fond of and you must have lost it somewhere. How does it feel to lose a ball? I know y'all are all in the 10th standard, and why am I talking about losing balls, and especially during the lockdown period when we are all actually sitting at home and not being able to play with the ball. Here, the poet wants to focus on this aspect of childhood where a child loses a ball and how important this aspect is to him, how important this feeling of losing a ball is to a child, and what does the child actually learn from this experience. Here, a boy loses a ball. He's very upset. Obviously, all of us were when we lost a ball or any kind of a toy. A ball here also represents all kinds of precious things that belong to us when we were children. So it could be any toy, it could be anything. He's very upset. A ball doesn't cost much, it's not a very expensive thing to lose. So why get upset about it? But then we as children were obviously very upset when we lost things, when we lost balls. Nor is it difficult to buy another ball, and obviously it's not very difficult to buy it anytime. It's available very easily at all toy shops in every locality. Why then is the boy so upset? Read the poem to understand what the poet thinks has been lost along with the ball, and what the boy has to learn from this experience of losing something. So let's move on to the poem. It's a very short poem which runs on one thread only. The entire poem runs along in one single thread, one single thought process, and it doesn't end until the very end, very last line. So it is basically a non lyrical poem, a non rhyming poem. So it's a free verse. This kind of poetry is called a free verse. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What? What is he to do? So here the poet begins with a rhetorical question, with the question itself. He says, what is the boy now? That means, what is he supposed to do? What will he do? Who has lost this ball? Now that he has lost his ball, what is he supposed to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. So the poet says that he was witness to the fact that this particular boy has lost his ball. The poet was standing there and saw the ball merrily bouncing down the street, and then the ball ended up in a water body just close to the road. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. There's no use telling this boy, oh, it's okay, it's doesn't matter that you have lost a ball. Never mind that you have lost a ball. There are so many balls. There are other balls. You can actually get plenty of other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. So there's no use consoling the boy over the loss of a ball. He is fixed with grief. He is fixed with sadness, extreme sadness at having lost this precious ball, this beloved ball that he had, this belonging which was very close to his heart. And no use saying that there are other balls and he would get another ball in return. They can always buy other balls. An ultimate shaking grief, you know, sadness that has overcome him. It fixes him as he stands there rigid without moving, trembling all over with maybe because he's crying, staring down all his young days, staring down that road where the ball went. staring down right to the water body. Maybe it's a pond, it's a puddle, it's a canal where the ball has disappeared, never to be found again, and he's staring down that particular area, remembering all his young days when he used to play with that ball, gathering all the memories that were attached to the ball, trembling, staring down all his young days, all his childhood days into the harbor, into the place where the ball now rests, where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. I will not interrupt his thoughts. The poet says that he does not wish to interrupt his feelings and thoughts about the ball. He doesn't want to console him. He doesn't want to tell him that he could always buy another ball. His ball went, his ball has been lost. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Giving this child a dime is just like we have a coin. So there it was a dime. So he says, I do not want to intrude his thoughts by offering a dime to him to buy another ball. Or I do not want to bring him another ball. It is all worthless. All these efforts would prove worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. So this is the time when the child actually faces, actually realizes his responsibility for the first time. For the first time in a world of possessions. In a world of possessions, underline that phrase, it means in a materialistic world, in a world which is all about things which are bought and sold, which are earned and lost. So in the material world, people will take balls, balls will be lost always, little boy. So he says, people are going to buy balls and balls will always be lost. Ultimately you're bound to lose balls. And this is the way of life, little boy. So the poet wants to tell him, this is the way of life, little boy, that you know, things come in your life and they go away. Similarly, even people who are beloved to you, who are very close to your heart, whom you love very much, they are there in your life and finally they walk away, they die. And no one buys a ball back. That means you're not able to buy back the things which are lost, the people who are lost, the feelings that are lost. You cannot get them back. Money is not enough to bring them back. Money is external. Money is something which is only connected to material things. Money cannot bring back happiness. Money cannot buy back your feelings and your memories attached to that particular thing which has been lost. Money cannot buy back people, bring back people from the dead. If they die, they will never come back. So money is an external factor. He is learning, this is a stage when the boy shall learn from this experience of losing a ball that all things which are given to you in life are bound to be taken back, are bound to be lost in one way or another. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. His eyes are desperately searching for the ball. That is why desperate eyes. Basically, the boy is the one who is desperate and not his eyes. So here, because one adjective, desperate, has been attached to a noun eyes, whereas it should have been attached to another noun, the boy. So the adjective has been transferred from one noun to another, and that is why we have a case of transferred epithet here. The poetic device is transferred epithet. Epithet means an adjective. So his eyes are desperately searching for the ball, and behind these desperate eyes, he is learning this very difficult lesson of life, very important lesson of life, that everything which we have is bound to get lost. And we need to deal with the loss ourselves. We need to stand up to it. We need to take a hold of it. We need to be strong in the face of any kind of loss. The epistemology of loss. The epistemology where epistemology means trying to get deal with things, and here epistemology of loss, the understanding of loss, the realization of loss. The epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know. So how to stand up in the face of the knowledge that every man should have, the knowledge that one day we are going to lose our beloved possessions, lose our beloved people, and how we need to deal with this loss in life, how we need to grow up and actually shoulder this loss with responsibility and not be, destroyed by the sense of it. Knowing what every man must one day know, knowing what every person should one day know as they grow old, that one day we are bound to lose our beloved possessions, our beloved people. And most know many days how to stand up, and most know how, most of the people know many days how to stand up, how to deal with this loss, how to be strong in the face of loss. So here the poet says that the boy needs to actually deal with this loss in order to understand that life is all about ups and downs. Life is all about earning and losing. Life is all about getting and letting go. So here the poet actually tells the boy, wants to tell all the people reading this poem that we are, we are mortal beings. One day we are going to die, all of us. And because we should know this, and this knowledge in itself is very important, so we need to understand that loss is a very big part of life. We are bound to lose things, we are bound to lose people, and we need to face it with a lot of strength, with a lot of understanding, and we need to stand up in the face of loss. So this is what the poem is all about. You have meanings given here. Oh, there are other balls. The words suggest that the loss is not important enough to worry about. There are losses bigger than the loss of a mere materialistic thing. Losing a ball is a very trivial thing, is a very small, insignificant part of life. There are other losses to deal with, bigger losses to deal with. Shaking grief, sadness which greatly affects the boy. And rigid is stiff without moving, without actually letting go. Intrude on, to enter a situation where one is not welcome, to interrupt, that is. We have seen dime, it stands for 10 cents in the US. Desperate, hopeless. Epistemology of loss, understanding the nature of loss, what it means to lose something, realizing, and then trying to gather ourselves about that loss. Epistemology is a Greek word which comes from the word episteme, meaning knowledge. It comes from a word meaning to understand, to know. Epistemology is the study of the nature of knowledge itself. So you get to know the meanings here itself in the textbook. And there are plenty of questions, around 6 given here. Kindly go through the questions very carefully, try to solve them, and take a note of the poet. It's John Berryman. He was an American poet, and you can actually look it up, the history of the poet, and it's a beautiful poem giving you a lot of food for thought, lot of points to introspect, to think about, and then also giving you the strength to stand up for any kind of loss that you may encounter or have encountered. So that's it from the Ball poem. Thank you so much.